Well, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is your second video of the day, and it is the video that I've been promising for a while. It is Connor's 6 picks. The reason I'm doing Connor's 6 picks is because the manager has apparently uttered to people in and around him that Leeds United are going to need 6 players to comprise of their starting lineup. That's kind of what you believe anyway, if you're reading between the lines. Now, from my personal standpoint, Leeds United already have potentially 6 starters. So with what Farke's saying, it kind of meshes up. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Check out the room mill from earlier on. Now I'm going to get straight into my 6 picks going into the Premier League. And I'm going to give you my reasoning as to why everybody. So obviously I've built down my notes here just to remind me of a few bits as well. So make sure you get your suggestions in the comment section below. So as you guys are all very aware of, I've started in net with David Soria. Now, this guy has been unbelievable this year in the running for the Zamora Trophy. Unfortunately, Getafe have conceded quite a lot of goals recently, but during the season, they've been unbelievable when it comes to not conceding goals and when they've come to being strong at the back. And Soria is one of these goalkeepers who is very attainable. His contract runs out next season. He's 32 years of age, so that might put a couple of clubs off in the January window. Bournemouth were sniffing around him. Obviously, they're looking at a Kepa replacement at some point, and Bournemouth were sniffing around, so that's one to keep an eye on. The most progressive rate in Europe when it comes to goalkeepers, which obviously insinuates that he's a very, very good passer and distributor of the ball, which at 32 is quite impressive, really, because it feels like that's a bit of a young goalkeeper's game. I watched him against Valencia. Valencia were 3-0 up, and he was making save after save after save after save. Carlos Corberan's men were absolutely battering them. And I think it's well known in La Liga at this moment in time that David Soria is probably the third, fourth best goalkeeper, moved behind Courtois and Oblak. He will be my #1 pick for a goalkeeper. There's a couple of alternatives in there that might come on throughout the window, but it feels that's attainable and once again very achievable to go and get. So David Soria is my goalkeeper for Leeds United going into the Premier League season. Obviously, he's played at the top level as well, which is one of my #1 criteria. So this one might be slightly out of out of the realms of possibility. Now, Solé, who is a French centre-back, you guys might not have heard of him. Once again, we've been speaking about Bijol, haven't we, when we've been speaking about centre-backs, but Solé at Udinese has been something of a revelation. Quite an unbelievable story, really. Picked up for a fee in January, and now Udinese are probably going to have a bidding war for him. An unbelievable centre-back who I find him still extremely good on the left-hand side of a centre-back partnership. Obviously, he can play in a 3, which he has done for Udinese, but he can play on a right side as well of a centre-back partnership. But on the left side, he doesn't look like he's struggling when he's under pressure as well. And that's because he disguises his passing range. He can use his left or his right foot on either side. He's an excellent centre-back, in my opinion, and I cannot believe what Udinese have done in terms of picking up that little bit of business. Staggeringly good. Now, the Inter president, Murata, I've got down here on my notes, apparently is going to potentially fly out at some point and meet Solé and his representatives, but apparently Inter have got a short list of about 4 or 5 centre-backs that they're looking at. Leeds, now being a Premier League club, have got serious pull. We're all very, very aware of that, and we will come above some top-level Serie A clubs because of the money in the Premier League. That is just cold, hard facts. But I would be extremely, extremely over the moon if we managed to get Solé here. As I've said, the physicality is so transferable to the Premier League. Athlete, again, huge, just an absolute monster. Quick off the turn as well. I think he could play a variety of systems. As I said, he's played a couple previously when it comes to a back 2 and a back 3. I'm a massive fan of him. Absolute massive fan of him. So Solé and Soria, the 2 S's, are my first picks for Leeds United. Now, as you can see, Ugachukwu is in the midfield there. Now, a lot of you guys are going to probably turn your noses up a little bit to him. And you're probably going to think to yourself, Connor, he was at Southampton. Southampton have got 11 points this season. I urge you to maybe go back and watch Match of the Day. Watch him against Tottenham. Watch him against West Ham. Watch him in his most recent game as well. Watch him against Brentford. He has been, for me, one of the outstanding players in that Southampton side. Now, what does that mean, Connor? Well, the interesting bit is, and we've mentioned attainability for the goalkeeper, Soria, of course, when it comes to being 32 out of contract next season. So they'll probably be needing to move him on this season if they want a packet for him. Solé would demand probably a lot of money when it comes to Leeds, maybe 15, 20 million, you would expect. When you are looking at someone like Ugachukwu, and we're going to come back onto the left back in just a sec. I've just realised that I've missed him. But Ugachukwu could be on loan. Looks like he needs another year of development. And who's he on loan from? Chelsea. Now, for me, he's very similar to Lavia in terms of how he moves the ball, how he progresses the ball. Line breaker, very aggressive, big again, athletic in that midfield, progresses the ball nicely. And I do wonder if he needs another year of development. And I think he might do after watching him at a couple of points this season. Because I think there's a few falls maybe in his decision-making. But I think Ugachukwu would be a lovely option for Leeds United on loan. And once again, you're kind of working around PSR a little bit there. So that could be a nice little option. Now, the other player I was going to mention was Mandela Keita. Obviously, who's at Parma right now. Came from Leuven in Belgium. 11 million euros, a monster. An actual monster in the midfield. 6 foot tall, right-footed, perceptive, and his perception and interpretation of where the ball is going to land is unbelievable. He's playing in Serie A at this moment, Mandela Keita. His turnovers is top rate when it comes to Serie A level. He's a top-level dribbler as well when it comes from deep as well, which would be really exciting for a number 6. 11 million euros as well. Check out Mandela Keita, everybody. An absolute monster. Probably my number 1 pick ahead of Ugachukwu, I should say. But Ugachukwu, for me, is the one who's more attainable price-wise. So let me know what you think if you have seen him. Check out his performance versus Leicester in particular. Unbelievable. Now, we're going to go back to left back because we did kind of feed our way forward a little bit quicker there. Now, I've got down Miguel Gutierrez, who in the 23-24 season for Girona was unbelievable, as Girona obviously achieved Champions League football. 24-25, it's been a little bit trickier for Girona, obviously, as they've been in this relegation battle, but still, Miguel Gutierrez has been one of the top players. Now, I do wonder, because he is a Madrid product, whether or not they'd go back in for him with their problems, obviously, at the back. And if that was the case, obviously, Leeds wouldn't have any chance near Gutierrez whatsoever. But I'm just going to remove him here when I'm looking at a more realistic standpoint. And there's a little bit more of a sort of partnership, which I'm going to talk about in just a little bit of a second. Josh Doig, Sassuolo, promoted again. They've absolutely romped Serie B. Josh Doig has played in Serie A before. Another criteria tick list. Absolutely love Josh Doig. Would be available for a really good fee. Again, we've spoken about this guy for 2 seasons. I'm not getting off the Doig train. We're on the Doig Express. This will be the more realistic option for me. Strong in the tackle, consistent performer, has been a consistent feature for Sassuolo this season. He's been out in his last sort of 2 or 3 games as well, maybe with a little bit of an injury. But Josh Doig is Mr. Consistent, and I think he could make that transferred move to the Premier League, 100%. So yeah, as I say, keep an eye on Miguel Gutierrez, but I'm just thinking as well with the inflated fee, maybe Doig you'd be able to get for a much easier price. Now we move on to Julio Enciso. This one, again, is an interesting one. I think Ipswich have completely mismanaged him in his loan spell. I think he's come off the left, and I understand he's played off the left before for Paraguay, for obviously his parent team in Brighton. But I think that's the wrong position to play him in. He got player of the match, I believe, and he was a little bit more central for Ipswich against Brentford. And he looks a completely different player. The only thing with Enciso is his decision-making at some points, but I think it's an elevation to that of Brendan Harrison, a complete elevation to what we get in that middle space. Great close centre of control. And once again, like Josh Doig, this is someone who revisiting from another transfer window, someone who I think would fit in to a Leeds system exceptionally well. Absolutely. I've always rated Enciso. Still a very, very young lad. Would we get him on loan again? Could that be a second loan potentially in the squad? I think there's another year of development there, maybe a loan to an obligation. So he maybe feels like he's at home a little bit more. There's something to consider there as well. But I wonder if the exploration of a transfer fee would maybe go north of 20 to 25 million, which could be an issue with Enciso. But don't judge him for me on his time at Ipswich. I think he's been mismanaged in a sense, which is quite unusual from McKenna. I don't like him off the left. I like him central. Works very, very hard off the ball as well. Something to consider. So we move on to that left-hand side. Now, if Leeds aren't to get Solomon, this is if we're not to get Solomon. If Leeds aren't to play Nonto out there or Ramazani out there, which arguably is a better option than this right now, but it is Armand Loriente. Now, where is the connection, Connor, you were talking about earlier? Josh Doig, Loriente have both absolutely mauled Serie B with Sassuolo, and Loriente in particular has been the outstanding player. Outstanding player in Serie B, has played at the top level before, another tick list, and I absolutely think he's a monster. He's a monster, and I think he's got, once again, a lot of transferable assets that we could plod into the Premier League. Once again, you need rotation there with Nonto and Ramazani in terms of, acclimatizing to the top level of English football. But once again, his transfer value is probably going to be around 10 to 13 million. That's something to consider as well. Once again, the attributes that you get for a player on the continent who's maybe a hidden gem in comparison to what you would get in England for like 30, 40 million right now for a proven, experienced player is something to bear in mind as well. Okay, going a little bit further forward. Now, this isn't M. Burkhart, who is number 0. This is a Burkhart who we couldn't find on the data spreadsheet. It's Jonathan Burkhart. Now, you guys know that I've mentioned this guy for 3-4 years or 4 years ago on the rumor mill. Jonathan Burkhart is a Mainz player, is flying at this moment in time. He's about 6'1". He's very strong, is a skillful technician, and is someone who is, for me, a Premier League player all day long. He could be the most certain out of all of them that they can acclimatise to the Premier League. I think I've always liked Tim Burkhart. He was one of my picks when we went up to the Premier League last time, only a young lad at that point. He's 24 now. I think he was around about 19, 20 then. A lot of potential. And he's got a release clause of 20 million euros as well, which is something to bear in mind. 28 games, 17 goals. I think he's got about 5 or 6 assists as well in the Bundesliga. He is flying at this moment in time. And if we can exercise, the 49ers have said that Leeds are going to work early. If we are going to work early, like Farker and the 49ers have said, if you can get that 20 million release clause activated and Leeds can go and get that, that is your striker sorted. It's guaranteed goals in the Premier League for him, in my opinion. And his strength, his athleticism, that key word again, and speed are all components of which would work at the top level of English football and would help Leeds a lot. If we are to have a little bit of fun, this is what the squad could look like at the beginning of the season. Although I feel like Ugachukwu maybe will be on the bench, but someone like Keita coming in would probably be starting for Leeds United. But obviously you can't keep Ampadu out. So Ugachukwu would probably come out and be rotation in that side. And you would probably still stick, well, you definitely would stick, in my opinion, if you just to remove him now. We've just been speaking, obviously, about these transfers, but you've got to get Ethan Ampadu, the captain, in there. And I think Ethan could work at the Premier League as well. So you kind of got that's maybe what you're looking at when it comes to Leeds United. Now, let me know in the comment section below if you think that's a strong enough side. I think that's probably the strongest, or one of the strongest sides that have got promoted in recent times, in my opinion. But you guys let me know in the comment section below what you think. Who would be your picks? Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you've enjoyed Connor's 6 picks. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. See you in a bit.